Hello, my name is Difa Afina. I want to explain about reason of listening, different kinds of listening, and listening sources. Number one is reason of listening. Listening is good for students' pronunciation, in that the more they hear and understand English being spoken, the more they absorb appropriate pitch and intonation, stress, and the sounds of both individual words, and those which blend together in connected speech. So, reason of listening is they can increase their listening skills, mainly, and they also can increase their speaking skills. They know about new vocabulary, and then they can pronunciate well some words, and they can pronunciation between two words but have a same words. You understand? Example, present and present. They have the same words, but they also have a different pronunciation. Like that, the students can find the different like that, and then they can find the stress between words, and then they can have a new vocabulary from the audio that they listen to it. And then number two is different kinds of listening. If you read on the PowerPoint, you will find intensive listening and extensive listening. And what the explanation between two kinds of listening? Okay, we should listen this. Intensive listening is different from extensive listening, and that students listen specifically in order to work on listening skills and in order to study the way in which English is spoken. So, number one is intensive listening. Intensive listening is that teacher teach about basic of the listening. Teacher just focus on the listening, basic of listening skills like grammatically, and then vocabulary, and then pronunciation, and then stress words and etc. And also they focus on translation from words to words, sentences, and then other words. Intensive listening just focus on the basic in order to increase their listening skills, also speaking skills. And number two is extensive listening. Extensive listening is focused on overall thing in the listening. They are not just focused on basic listening, but they focus on the meaning of the conversation or other audio. Like they just not focus on translation, but students should know the meaning. Example, the teacher give conversation audio to students, and students should know the topic of the conversation, and then where in the setting, and like that. They should know the makna, seperti itu maksudnya mereka harus bisa mengetahui makna-maknanya, tidak seperti intensive listening yang hanya fokus pada dasar-dasar listening skill aja, seperti itu. And the last is listening sources. Yeah, a lot of listening is experienced from recorded extract on CD, tape, or MP3 players of some kind. But students can use live listening. So what is live listening? Live listening is like, live listening from teacher. So teacher give a conversation by herself or himself. Like, they role playing, they playing of role play of some characters, and the teacher should give, maksudnya seperti ini, guru itu memberikan sebuah conversation, tapi dia role playing sebagai karakter itu pakai dirinya sendiri. Misalkan nanti bisa dia jadi A, lalu dia bisa jadi B, seperti itu. Dan seperti layaknya conversation biasa, cuman itu dijalankan oleh satu orang, yaitu hanya gurunya saja. So, what the advantage of the live listening? The live listening advantage is students can interact more with the speakers. Jadi murid itu bisa interaksi langsung dengan speakersnya atau dengan teachernya yang menyampaikan sebuah conversation. Jadi misalkan mereka tidak tahu atau tidak mengerti vocabulary-nya apa atau cara pronunciation-nya gimana, nanti mereka bisa menanyakan langsung kepada gurunya, seperti itu. Terima kasih. Thank you for your attention.
Hello, my name is Bianda Gendis Azara. I want to explain about listening skills. Students must be able to hear things in various ways. First, they must be able to recognize paralinguistics, such as deep intonation to understand conditions and meanings. Listening to specific information such as time and platform and number, for more general ones such as when they listen to stories or interact in social conversation. Our job is to help them become more proficient at this kind of multi-speaking when listening to English. However, sometimes they find it very difficult. Next is, there are 6 principles of listening. The first principle is encourage students to listen as often as possible. The more students listen, the better their listening ability and understanding pronunciation correctly. To encourage students to listen to English as much as possible. The second principle is students need to be prepared to start listening, such as looking at pictures, discussing topics, or reading questions. This makes students think about what the topic and the assignment and have an interest in listening. The next, playing the audio once might not be enough for students to have a chance to learn some of the language features on the tape. Listening to the first text is often used simply to give students an idea of what the speaker sounds like and what the general topic is, so that later listening is easier from them. For later hearing, we can stop the audio track at various points. The fourth and important part of the listening sequence is for the teacher to describe the meaning of what was said, understand what was meant, and find out what impression it made the pupil. Any listening material is also definitely useful for learning language usage and various pronunciation problems. And the fifth is the different stages of listening require different listening talks. That is, for first hearing the text, might need to be self-explanatory. That way, student understanding and response are successful, and the stress associated with listening can be reduced. Listening, which will then focus on the type information, language usage, or pronunciation, and so on. It will be the teacher's job to help students to focus on what listening is. And the last is good teachers make full use of the listening text. So after initial listening, the teacher can play the tracks again for various types of study before using subject matter situations or audio scripts for new activities. Listening then becomes an important event in the teaching sequence, not just like exercising with oneself. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Muhammad Nasokha. As presenter 3, I will explain about principal listening and sequences listening. There are 6 principal listening. Principle 1, encourage students to listen as often and as much as possible. The more students, the better they get at listening and the better they get at understanding pronunciation and at using it opportunity themselves. Therefore, will be to use as much listening in the class as possible and to encourage students to listening as much English as they can via internet, podcasts, CDs, tapes, and other. Principle 2, help students prepare to the listen. Students need to be made ready to listen. This means that they will need to look at pictures, discuss the topic, or read the question first. Principle 3, once may not be enough. There are almost no occasions when the teacher will play an audio track only one. Students will want to hear it again to pick up the things they missed the first time. And we might well want them to have a chance to study some of language featured on the tape. And principle 4, an important part of listening sequence is for teacher to draw out the meaning of what is being said, discern what is intended, and find out what impression it makes on the students. Principle 5. Different listening stages demand different listening texts. Because there are different things we want to do with a listening text, we need to set different texts for different listening stages. Principle 6. Good teacher exploit text to the full. If teacher asks students to invest time and emotional energy on a listening text, and if they themselves have spent time choosing and preparing the listening sequence, then it makes sense to use the audio track or live listening experience for as many different applications as possible. And next, listening sequences. The following listening sequences are pitched at different levels. As with the all other skill-based sequences, they will often lead into work and other skill or person. Example, live interview. The following sequences works when the teachers can bring the visitors to the classroom, or when they themselves play a role as if they were a visitor. And when the visitor comes into the classroom or to the lesson, student asks their question and takes note of the answer.